Mom, Dad, I have cancer. Whew. I feel like I'm telling my parents I'm pregnant or something. Like I'm just gonna. So 1 year ago at my annual checkup, all my labs came back normal. I was healthy. And now, 1 year later, I have thyroid cancer. Also, my voice is kind of raspy, not because of my thyroid cancer. I don't think. I think I just have a cold, honestly. This video is not about cancer. It's about what happened in this past year that was the biggest contributing factor to my health, which eventually included a cancer diagnosis. So if you think stress is just mental stuff or it's just all in your head, and if you think pushing through it is the right way to go, this video is for you. So you're probably wondering what the heck happened in the past year. How does stress turn into cancer in 12 months? Well, this year was probably the most stressful year of my life, caused by the most stressful job of my life. So I've worked in forensic settings most of my adult career. I worked in a prison, I worked in a halfway house, I worked in probation and parole office. So I thought when I took a job at a psych facility at the beginning of this year that it would be similar. But this job was very, very different. It was not just stressful in the normal Gen Z stress job way. Hi, Gen Z. Yes, I'm technically Gen Z. Okay, now that we cleared that up. This job was toxic. So for those of you that don't know, a psych facility, or at least the one I'm talking about, is a treatment center where people who commit crimes but then plead not guilty by reason of insanity go to these treatment centers. They don't go to a regular prison. So they go to these treatment centers because they're deemed clinically or criminally insane. They're there until they complete treatment, which is a very arbitrary timeline. So this place had it all, from a guy who didn't pay child support to a serial rapist and serial killer, and everybody in between. There was always conflict at this place between the clients, between the staff, between the clients and staff, and some genuinely shady stuff happening behind closed doors, which I really can't even talk about on here. Basically, this place thrived on chaos. At first, I thought I could fix it. I'm a therapist, right? I'm trained to help people function better. Surely I can have some positive impact on this place. So I shared my bright ideas, offered some solutions. I tried to make things just 1% better, and that did not work. I was looked at sideways for wanting to change things, even little things. And I learned real quick that was social suicide. So my goal of changing this very toxic, chaotic place morphed into a more simple goal of just surviving. You know when you tell yourself just survive the day, just survive the job, just get the paycheck, everything will be okay. Except surviving the job meant I was always in survival mode. I was in fight or flight every day. Now, part of that fight or flight or survival mode was because of the clients. I mean, it was a dangerous place to work. Like, staff were assaulted almost every day. I've had a psychotic client sit across from me in session and methodically describe to me how he would kill me with his fingernails if he wanted to. Yeah, tell me your body would not be in fight or flight. So I'm just sitting there nodding therapeutically, taking notes, pretending that I'm not screaming inside, looking for all exits. And that environment, like that type of situation, isn't just physically dangerous. There's this psychological cost to denying your body what it wants to do. Like in that moment when he was describing his fingernails gouging out my eyes, I wanted to get out of that room, but I didn't. I forced myself to stay and be professional, to stay and finish the session. And I would do this all the time because it was normalized there. Feeling in danger was just part of the job. But the psychological cost compounds over time. When your job requires you to repeatedly step inside the mind, the alternate reality of someone who is clinically unwell, a part of that rubs off on you. Like when you step into their reality for an hour, maybe 90-minute session, your brain is almost sitting in their reality, analyzing it through your own. But if you want them to change, you need to see the world through their point of view to identify things to work on. Like when you take a trip into someone else's reality, there's some jet lag when you come back. There's some residue left on your reality from that alternate way of thinking. I don't know if that makes sense. When I started the job, I felt like I was a very grounded, trained, confident in my abilities and in my ability to hold other people's realities without losing my own. But there is a psychological cost to that. You tell yourself you're just doing the job, you're just observing, you're just trying to see things from their point of view. You think you're not absorbing anything from their reality, but your nervous system is still responding to the reality being presented to you. That was super abstract. And remember, this happened over the course of like a year. So bit by bit, I'm feeling the weight of all of these experiences. And the stress is only increasing. But surprisingly, the client sessions were not the worst part of this job. It was the staff, people I worked with, staff that would lie to me, lie about me, staff that would break rules and then blame clients for the consequences. I could count on one hand the number of people I trusted in that place. So when you're working with clients where you are always on alert, and then you have staff, most staff that you really can't trust in a place where safety matters, that means you never let your guard down. But you've had hard jobs before. You know how it is. You tell yourself you can get through this. You tell yourself it's part of the job. You tell yourself this won't last forever. Just be strong for the clients. But when you're surrounded by people that do not care about your safety, about your well-being, like that is stressful in and of itself to just feel so lonely, professionally lonely. So I just started to kind of try and not care as much, like just go for the paycheck, which is not who I am. I'm a very deep, compassionate, empathetic person. If you cry, I'm crying. If you cry, I'm crying harder. So I just felt like I started suppressing everything, like the anger about the unfair things that were happening there, the grief of losing myself kind of in these client alternate realities, and just the moral conflict of being a part of a system and watching people get hurt by that system, by that very system, which is supposed to heal and rehabilitate and protect them. Like, I just tried to push all that in the back of my mind, hold my tongue when things would happen at work. And for me, I hold grief and sadness in my throat. And if you watch my other videos, you know how important it is to me to release unprocessed emotions or emotions that are harbored in the body. And at the time, I just felt like a hypocrite. Like, here I am trying to just move through the day like a robot, not caring about everything happening around me, because I feel so helpless to change it. And yet, here I am trying to teach my clients to change their world for the better and to get them to stop suppressing their emotions. And my body was about to make me pay attention. Like, I thought I was toughing it out, but my body did not feel tough. It felt rough. A disorder that I spent years recovering from. It like came back. What felt like all of a sudden, but it was the stress. The stress again was just unprecedented. The most stressful time of my life. I could barely sleep, even when I was exhausted. And maybe you've been there when you're just laying in bed exhausted, but you're replaying the day or you're dreading the next day. But I kept going because that's what you do, right? You have to go to work, apparently. You can't leave until you have another job lined up. So the last few months I was there, my body was just screaming at me through all of these symptoms. It's like when you're watching a horror movie. Every time I went to work, I got that feeling. Like, or when you're in a haunted house and it just feels like everything inside of you is saying, get out now. That like primal, urgent feeling that something is very wrong. I felt that all the time and I just ignored it. I mostly ignored it because I didn't have another job lined up. Now, as a therapist, I know the connection between stress and physical health and mental health. But when it's your own body, it feels drastic, like it feels dramatic. It's like this can't actually be happening because I'm so stressed. Like I can't actually be having all of these problems because I'm in survival mode all day, but clinically, I know the impact of stress and being in survival mode. I even went to see a therapist and she begged me to quit. Like she saw what it was doing to me. But the fact that I got cancer, I can't accept it as a coincidence. I can't accept it. Like, this is biology. But when you're living in chronic stress, your fight or flight system goes bonkers. And it's just like dumping cortisol, the stress hormone, cortisol in your body. I was having cortisol for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then a cortisol cocktail before bed. And cortisol not only suppresses your immune system, literally what finds cancer cells and destroys them, because we all have like some cancer. It's just hasn't turned malignant yet. It's just like a few cells that our body can handle and fight off. So cortisol basically drop kicks your immune system. But secondly, it wreaks havoc on your endocrine system, which is the system basically responsible for metabolism, stress, and homeostasis. Basically, it tinkers with all of the hormones in your body. And your thyroid is right here. And it's incredibly sensitive to stress hormones. So I was living in this perfect storm, perfect environment where cancer cells could thrive. Now, stress didn't create the cancer, but the stress weakened every system in the human body designed to catch the cancer cells and destroy them before they become a problem. So I knew I had to leave that place before I knew I had cancer. But leaving turned out to be harder than I thought. So after crying every day at work for a couple weeks, I finally started applying for jobs. Places where I thought I could do this. I could get that job. Nothing. Weeks go by, nothing. So I lower my expectations and apply for some more jobs. I mean, I even applied for cleaning jobs and dishwashing jobs because I had experience doing those. I did that in college. I can do it again. If it means getting out of this place, I will take whatever pay. But nothing. Literally crickets. So then I take off the degrees on my resume, thinking like, Maybe when I'm applying to be a dishwasher, like the hiring manager is slightly confused when they see my master's degree in social work. So I applied to over 15 jobs, which maybe that's not a lot. And to some people, maybe that is a lot. And I get 0 responses. And I'm still going to the job, that toxic job, showing up, crying, meeting with clients, going back to my office, crying, just pretending I'm fine. My supervisors ignored my emails, ignore my cries for help. Like my body was just shutting down at that point. Like I was slipping into deep depression, overwhelming anxiety, eating disorder, back in full force. And one day I realized financial stability can't come first. It's so important to be responsible. Okay, especially in this economy. But if I am miserable every single day, does it matter if I'm comfortable? Like, would it even be comfort? Would financial stability even bring me the comfort I want if I hate my life? So I quit. No backup plan, no job lined up. Had some savings. I just knew I would rather be so tight on money. I would rather be doing odd jobs, struggling financially, than stay in a place that was emotionally and maybe physically killing me. And I'm not saying this is how everyone feels or this is everyone's experience. This is just mine. I have so many privileges that play into my life experience. But for me, I realized financial stability is overrated when you're going insane. For me, what's the point of a steady paycheck and a comfortable life if I'm not happy enough to enjoy it? Or if I'm not alive to enjoy it? And that decision, quitting with nothing lined up, it changed everything. It changed my life. 1 week after I quit is when I found out I had cancer. And I wanted to make this video because I just want to share what I learned, which was that your body can break down so fast when you don't listen to it, when you ignore what it's telling you, when you just force it to do what the world is telling you you should do. So I'm getting treatment. The prognosis is pretty good. Thyroid cancer is one of the better cancers, if there is such a thing. But trust me when I say I am taking my health so much more seriously now. Like, I am 26 with cancer. Like, 26 years old with cancer. And I am going to seriously start taking my own advice and listen to my body and take care of my body and love my body for what it's been through and what it does for me, and train my body to prioritize peace and calm over the grind, over this workaholic culture that I know I'm drawn to. So I've been thinking of like a word for the new year for 2026. I'm kind of between two. I'm between flow, like going with my own flow, following the journey of life instead of forcing things into my life. So flow, or grounded. I really like grounding and grounded, or roots, the idea of having strong roots and feeling connected to a life source. Stress reduction is not self-care. It's not just self-care. It's a life or death decision. My body made it clear to me that it will not survive another year of what I was putting it through. The stressful, toxic, soul sucking places. So if your job is draining you, if your relationships are breaking you down instead of building you up, if your lifestyle is physically destroying you, I don't care how old you are, please listen to your body. Listen to what it wants. Don't wait around for some life-changing diagnosis to change your life today. I'm not sharing this story for sympathy. There are people out there in way more complicated or medically compromised situations. We have autonomy. We can choose health over hustle. I spent years in the forensic psychology field, working specifically with men whose emotional disconnection was so extreme. And what I learned there shapes everything that I believe and teach today. But I just couldn't be a part of that system anymore. So I started this channel kind of in the midst of this midlife crisis, but I will always be an advocate for mental health. And my experience is in men's mental health who want to be mentally strong. Those are my people, and they will always have a special place in my heart. But I don't know how much longer I will continue to do traditional sit down talk therapy. I would love for this channel to be about healing and holding space for people who normally don't have that space, and for people who were never taught emotional regulation as a kid, or circumstances have just sucked the life out of you and you need to reconnect and find yourself again. I made a super short checklist. It's called 5 Signs You're Emotionally Numb and What to Do About It. So I'll link that below. And speaking of grounding, I made a body scan progressive relaxation video. So I'll link that above and below. And a body scan is basically where you're turning inward to feel and listen to your body. And there are so many benefits. Body scanning can help with sleep quality, it can help with emotional regulation, it can help with chronic pain. So check out that video. I hope it helps. I'll see you in the next one.